everyone, you're listening to the Start Something podcast, where we take you behind the scenes on the founder journey, breaking down what it takes and how it can change your life. I'm Shruti.
And I'm Bailey, and on this episode of the Start Something podcast, we are going to be talking about morning routines, and specifically how they can impact your day, productivity, but also your founder journey as a whole. And Shruti, our expert on morning routines, has developed hers obsessively, so I think this is going to be a really good conversation. I know I have a lot to learn.
I've broken it down to a science. I think I'm going to spend 20 minutes talking about the first 5 minutes of my morning.
Perfect.
Which is awesome.
Well, the first 5 minutes of your morning can have such a huge impact on your entire day.
Yes.
Which is going to have such a huge impact on your overall year. And how many years did it take you to start and then sell your first company? Just hang on, no, just so I have a grasp on the situation. How long?
2 years.
2 years?
Yeah.
That's not a long time.
I know.
So days matter, mornings matter, the first 5 minutes of the morning matters. Okay, so please tell us.
It really does. So let's first set the scene, right? It's about 6:30 in the morning, somewhere between 6:30 and 7 in the morning. The sun is just rising. I'm in my bed. And let's just think about the setting that I've set up for myself, right? Just picture that. You can close your eyes. I don't know if that's weird or not, but picture yourself maybe.
If you're driving, please don't close your eyes.
Yes, please don't. But what I do wake up to is actually the sunrise. So I actually have all my windows open and I allow for as much natural light because light has such a strong correlation to your internal body clock, right? And it helps you regulate that clock. So I know a lot of people hate on me for this actually because people prefer to sleep in the dark, they want their blinds closed, but I actually recommend the opposite just because I feel like, wow, I've started a brand new day. My body feels that way. My body often naturally wakes up to this setting. So that's tip number one.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know if you've done that before.
Yeah, I have. So something that I love for my morning routine is also, as soon as I wake up, getting outside. And I am kind of obsessed with Andrew Huberman, and this is actually his favorite technique for increasing wakefulness, not just at the beginning of the day, but throughout. Yeah. Because when we get those photons in our eyes, right at the beginning of the morning, it kickstarts our circadian rhythm,
yes,
which not only helps us increase wakefulness throughout the day, but it also triggers the need to sleep earlier into the evening, which means that it kind of has a benefit in two sides, because wakefulness, but then it helps us sleep so much better at night. So I love this recommendation. Yeah.
That's just seconds before I'm about to wake up.
Yeah, you haven't even done anything at this point. You've been productive and you haven't even gotten out of bed.
Yeah, I haven't opened my eyes
You're
yet.
a superhero. Okay, so
I'm changing lives with my eyes closed.
We've gotten light in our eyes.
Yes.
What's next?
So tip number 2, I think a lot of people often tell me, oh, I'm spending a lot of time not using my phone first thing in the morning. And I actually super disagree. I challenge this statement. For me, my alarm is connected to my phone. The likelihood of me actually following through of not looking at my phone is so high with the amount of work messages, personal messages I get on that device. So I've honestly just leaned into it. And I actually have my alarm connected to my phone. Okay, that's not the brilliant idea behind a morning routine tip, but what I do have connected to it is actually my background screen of my phone is my vision board for my 1-year plan or my 5-year plan. So there's this tool out there called Canva, if you haven't heard of it. You can go in, sign up for free, and honestly, it's a 5-minute exercise, but I just take a bunch of images from Google Images or my personal life, and I put all my values and where I want to see my life 5 years from now. And I've made that my background screen. Your background screen is the thing that you look at the first thing in the morning. It's the thing that you look at throughout the day. It's actually the thing that you look at the most in your life. So if that's the case, why not encourage yourself to follow your vision board, even subconsciously, right? Every action that you do is going to be correlated to that vision board. this, and I've like accounted for everything that I need to. So yeah, just going through that, whether if it's like even going through my calendar on my phone. I haven't like responded to anyone yet or anything, but just like waking my brain up a little bit more and just saying, hey, here's what's gonna happen. So I just decreased the number of surprises.
Yeah, I love that. And something that I really like about it is I feel like it's really easy to go through your day and feel like you're getting dragged behind a moving vehicle.
Yeah.
But just taking that time at the beginning of the day to look at, okay, what am I expecting today? What am I expected to do? And also asking, like, okay, how can I walk into this situation with positivity? Like, how can I really bring my best self to these environments? And maybe asking, like, okay, what can get in my way? Like, what might make it challenging to be my best self? For example, for me, skipping lunch. That's a really good way for my 1 and 2 p.m. meetings to be an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
Maybe not on the outside, but definitely on the inside.
Yeah.
And so looking for, like, okay, what could actually get in the way of me being my best self in this environment? And then saying, okay, here's what I'm going to do intentionally to make sure that I'm setting myself and my team and the people that I'm meeting with up for success by being really intentional. So I love that. I feel like for the first couple years of my founder journey, I really did feel like I was being dragged behind a moving vehicle. And it wasn't until the last couple years that I've been like more intentional and doing some of that planning in advance. And I feel like it has a ridiculous impact. Like it's so severe.
Really, if I'm just going about my day without doing that exercise, I'm like, okay, wait, how much time do I have left in my day? I used to struggle with like, I have like 12 hours left in my day. I have 11 hours left in my day. And it's because I wasn't being intentional. If I was intentional and the night before I planned out how my day was going, or the morning of I knew exactly what was going to happen, I'm making the most of my day. I'm taking the most amount of actions that I can and making the most amount of impact I can in a day. So I totally agree with this statement.
Yeah. And I think this is another great example of a morning habit that you can do obviously from your bathroom while you're brushing your teeth and having an EDM concert. I almost said conference. I try not to do that because it reveals that I'm not very fun when I accidentally call a concert a conference. But you can do it in your bathroom, like right first thing in the morning when you're looking at your calendar. But you can also keep coming back to this throughout the day, which I feel like is such an added bonus of developing this habit. It's that it's not just something that you have to do in the morning. It's something that you can use every time you walk into a meeting. Yeah. And walking into a meeting or an environment and knowing, like, what is my intention for this experience?
Yes.
What can help move the needle? What can help move us forward? What can I do to like bring a really positive, uplifting energy to this environment? Yeah. Asking ourselves those questions can have such a big impact, not just in the morning when we're having our concert, but also throughout the day when we're walking into any big important meeting.
Totally. I couldn't even, if I could plus one, like somehow press a button on you, like I would.
Do you want to try?
But okay, so now we've made it about 5 minutes into my day.
Yeah, we've walked to the bathroom. We haven't gone anywhere else.
Yes. And so the next thing I do, and this has been a recent development with a new nutritionist / trainer that I've been working with, and it's kind of personal, but I will expose it. It's actually getting on the scale and weighing myself every day, which is a super unpopular opinion that I also had. I feel like a lot of women are afraid to step on the scale. I feel like a lot of people tell me like, oh, I ate a bunch of like sugary food. I'm scared to see how much weight I've gained, or I'm scared to like see the scale. I don't have a good relationship with the scale. I felt this exact same way, but actually doing this exercise of weighing myself every single morning, first thing in the morning, it's helping me get rid of my fear of that and normalizing the fact that, hey, as women, like we get our period, we go through cycles, our hormones are changing, our bodies are changing, and like just because like it says you increased by 1 pound today, or to decrease by 2 pounds tomorrow, like your body's like naturally going to change, right? And it's okay for it to fluctuate. So I know it's super random, but also small, but important, I think, to me, and it allows me to feel comfortable and good with my body.
Yeah. Why did you decide to start that habit?
Honestly, my nutrition trainer, she's the one that recommended it to me, and the first thing I reacted to her, I was like, why would I ever do that? Like, that's crazy. Honestly, that's what I said to her. And she was like, just hear me out and just give it a try for a few months. And I'm a data-oriented human. So as I'm working with her, it also helps me figure out how is my body correlated to like my cycles, for example, or how does that correlate to my mood? Like I'm running science experiments on myself, honestly, but it's helping me feel really mentally calm and happy about myself too.
That's amazing. So you feel like over the past few months since starting that habit, it's had a really positive impact on your life.
Yeah, very positive impact. So that's why I wanted to share it. Like I know it's something more vulnerable, but I think important to share. Yeah,
absolutely. And so much of our mental health and the stories that we tell ourselves, and the stories specifically that we tell ourselves about ourselves, have such a big impact on what we lean into every day. I feel like the correlation between like these stories and these fears, and even things involving like, you know, things that you might not think are correlated with your like tech company. It's like body image, like this is all related. This is all having an impact on like our confidence and what we decide to lean into, our willingness to try things, to fail, to be rejected. All things that are completely necessary to the founder journey. Yeah, exactly.
Like if I can normalize that aspect and feel really good about my body, I can walk into a meeting way more confident. Let's say the biggest presentation, I feel like I look good. I feel like I'm able to talk better. Like everything is correlated to each other, especially mentally. So that's why it's crazy that something like a scale can make such a big impact on my day. In a positive way.
Absolutely. I also love that, you know, everyone has a morning routine that, and like little changes that can be made that work better or worse for them. And I love that, like, this might be something that works really well for you and something might work totally different for someone else. But I think what's so important with morning routines is what you just said, which is experimenting. Like, you're experimenting with these different techniques and habits to see what kind of an impact is this having on my life, and do I like that impact? And I think being able to run experiments over and over in our lives is so critical if we want to move in a given direction, because the chances that we know everything that we need to know about what we're supposed to do to get where we're trying to get is like it's like zero. It's zero. And because we're in San Francisco and this is Silicon Valley, I drove past a billboard on the way here, and it was talking about A/B testing, and it was talking about how experiments don't fail. And I loved this idea because it's easy to look at some experiments and think like, oh, there's an outcome I want. So it might be easy to think, oh, that experiment could be successful or a failure. But if you think about it, if an experiment is designed to learn what kind of an impact something has, then you really can't fail at it.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that's one of the things that's so like beneficial about being able to unpack some of your morning routine, is because some things like we might be able to take away and say, oh, I definitely want to try that. Like that resonates for me. This is the right time to start doing that. And then there are other things that it's like, okay, maybe not that one right now.
Even the one that I talked about, smiling, that came from me just having a conversation with one of my colleagues and him telling me how much that's helped him. And I was like, yeah, right, who wants to start smiling in their bed like a creepy person? But that's not how I feel now. I'll give him points for that tip. Like, it's been life-changing. Agree.
So what
we're almost done. Okay. We're almost done, I promise you.
How many more tips?
Just one.
Okay. All right.
Then you can turn it off, like, call it a day, we're done. The last tip is actually, it came from you, crazily enough. About like a year ago when I met Bailey. I saw not just Bailey, I always saw her with a notebook in her hand. And one of my best friends got me a notebook that says Shruti's Crazy Thoughts. Like, she got it engraved. And I've been carrying a pen and a paper now everywhere I go. And that's been life-changing. So the last tip is I cannot start my day without a coffee. So having a cup of coffee in my hand and a notebook and just literally brain vomit, like whatever thoughts are coming to my head, whether it's related to work, whether it's like, oh, I think you could say this, XYZ things, or maybe it's like, hey, go return this item back to Sephora tomorrow. Like literally random errands, whatever it is, whatever comes to my mind. Or maybe it's how I feel about my body. Like, I feel great today. I feel mentally like really calm, even though I have a huge meeting coming up, things like that. It's really nice. I honestly can't say I read the errands again, but I don't necessarily read my thoughts again either, but it allows them to be free. Like, even if it's like, I'm not feeling good right now, whatever it is, you can probably talk more to it than I can.
I love that. It reminds me of this thing that Naval Ravikant says about meditation. I think journaling and like word vomiting has a similar impact. He compares meditation to the feeling of having inbox zero. So like you've gotten through everything, like it's clear. He's like, meditation is like inbox zero for your brain.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is also what writing and like word vomiting and journaling is for me.
Yeah.
People told me to journal for so long, and I didn't give it a try until I really needed it. Like I was waking up every single morning in a panic. Like I was like cold sweats. I was having like a full-blown panic attack every morning. And someone recommended, like literally a stranger at a coffee shop, recommended to me, I have no idea why we were talking or how this came up, but he said, hey, you know, I've been trying this thing called morning pages from Julia Cameron's book called The Artist's Way. And I was so desperate for a solution that I was like, okay, I'll get up and I'll start writing 3 pages a day, which is the morning pages assignment. And it has completely changed my life. I mean, I would still wake up in a panic for the first couple of weeks, but I'd go straight to my journal and I'd just start writing. And by the time I was done, I always felt like I was in a completely different headspace. So I love this habit.
I mean, I learned it from you. So.
I learned it from her and the stranger in the coffee shop. But it's another example of something that you can use throughout the day.
Yeah.
And anytime I'm like really in a funk, I go to my pages. Like I will start writing, even and especially if I don't feel like it, I will start writing because I always feel better after 3 pages.
Yeah.
I never, ever, ever feel worse. At the very least, I will be clear at the end.
Well, I think the end is really key also, right? When you are trying a new morning routine habit or anytime a habit in general, whatever it is, listening to how your body feels as a result of trying something new or experimenting is how you determine whether you should use it or not, right? And I relate to the feeling. I feel very free as soon as I have it written down on the paper. I'm like, okay, that's there forever. Like, it can leave my brain. Like, that's fine. I can come back to this when I need to, or I don't need to, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you don't have to hold it. It's like you can turn a burner off on the stove. You know, it's like we've got these burners in the back of our mind. Yeah. It's like, okay, that one can go off. Exactly. I don't have to think about it.
Exactly. Yeah. Well,
okay, so here, let's see if I got it.
Okay. Yeah, you summarize it back to me.
You can tell me if I sound like you first thing in the morning.
Okay, sounds good.
So I wake up. And first thing I do when I open my eyes is I'm getting natural light in my eyes.
Yes.
So that's going to help me increase my wakefulness throughout the day, increase my energy, help me sleep better at night.
Yes.
And then I'm going to start smiling.
Yes.
In bed. I haven't even gotten out of bed. I'm just going to smile. I'm going to trigger some of those like positive chemicals in my brain.
As soon as that timer goes off.
I'm going to look at my vision board, which may or may not be on my phone and may or may not have been made with Canva. And then after I've stared at my vision board and my plan for the future, I'm going to walk into my bathroom and have an EDM concert. So do I still sound like Shruti? Am I doing okay? So I'm going to be brushing my teeth, listening to EDM. Maybe at some point Amazon will hook you up, me up, because I'm Shruti, with some awesome lights for the bathroom. Yes. And during that moment when I'm standing there, I'm going to be thinking about, okay, what does my day look like? Yeah. How can I bring the best version of myself to this day? Maybe I pull out my phone again and I look at my calendar, like really feel grounded in what today holds.
Yes.
And then after that, I'm going to drink coffee, because obviously, big need for me, Shruti. And then I'm going to do my word vomit or my morning pages. And then by the time I'm done with that, I'm inbox zeroed on my brain. Exactly. I'm caffeinated. I've smiled.
Ready to go.
I've gotten sunlight today. I had a concert, and we're literally only 10 minutes into the morning.
That's crazy.
I can only imagine what the rest of your days look like.
Oh my god, we need like 20 more episodes.
Okay, well, hey, thank you so much for listening. I hope you're walking away from this episode with a couple ideas of things to experiment with. And as always, thanks for being here. We are rooting for you, and I hope that this inspires you to go off and start something of your own. Thanks, Shruti.
Thanks, Bailey.
Okay.